And Michael, the issue here is that I'm sure when you're elected to Parliament and you hear from your constituents all the time, there'd be issues with health, there'd be issues with roads, there'd be issues with education, and I'm sure you're spending more on youth crime than any other issue at the moment. Far too much.
Oh, it's far too much. I receive email after email, phone calls all the time. I'm stopped in the street. I can't go shopping because what they're asking us to do is to put the victims' rights above offenders' rights. At the moment, there is no consequences, and we're seeing a slap on the wrist and a revolving door. We are asking the Premier to stop that revolving door.
So what's the solution then, in your view?
Oh, the solution is multi-pronged. Obviously, the money for the diversionary programs is fantastic, but we need a change in the law. The communities are asking to feel safe in their homes, and my heart goes out to the victims of crime that are repeatedly getting broken into, especially if you're a single female or you're a young family. They seem to target those members more and more. I've heard stories of a 60-year-old who's been broken into 5 times and had 4 cars stolen. A 70-year-old, which we featured with the Daily Telegraph last year, where she'd been broken into 17 times. It's frightening, and we need to make sure that we have something in place to stop that.
What does that look like? Because, for example, in Victoria, they continuously boast that they've got, for example, the toughest bail laws in the country, which have been a real joke. Over, though, in Queensland, you've got Jack's Law, which has been actually quite successful in adult crime, adult time. What does it look like to you, do you think? If we say change the laws, what would be the most effective way to do that?
Well, I think the community's asking for castle law, they're asking for adult time, adult crime. All they are really asking for, I think, is a consequence. We need to see a consequence. You cannot come before a judge 4, 5, 6 times where the judge says, don't come before me again, you know what you're doing is wrong. You cannot continue to give that repeat offender bail. The first couple of times where a kid is being led by a ringleader, we need to show some empathy, some concern for their home life, some concern for their skills and how they can contribute to society. We need them to go into robust community programs that are diverting them away from the justice system. But once you've been in there multiple times, you've been before a judge, you're escalating the level of violence, those repeat criminals, they need to be locked up, and they need to make sure that they have forced diversionary programs.
And part of the issue here is that if you're under 14, and it gets a little bit legally complex, but we start dealing with dolly incapacts, which they automatically assume that if you're of that age between, I think, 10 and 13, that you don't know what you're actually doing in terms of the crime. But I've heard stories from your electorate of people that have been broken into, small business owners been broken into 5 or 6 times, the same kids sadly involved. Every time their either insurance goes up, they've got to close for a few days, and it's the people that feel like they're sort of abandoned outside of Sydney. But you're saying, thankfully, Labor seems to be listening, and the step last week was a good step by Chris Minns and the Police Commissioner.
Well, the police minister...
Step in the right direction.
It is. The police minister's given us some more funding, including place-based, so Kempsey-orientated solutions, which is fantastic. What we need to see, though, is we need to see that law change to protect our community and to make sure that we can feel safe in our own homes.
I just want to ask you on another matter. We were just talking earlier about the neo-Nazi protests that took place outside of State Parliament. What's your response to the scenes that we saw?
Oh, I don't think 60 people out of 5 million represent Sydney. I mean, I can't stand hate speech, but I need to say that the Premier really needs to come down hard on those members, those characters that think that it's all right to stand out in front of Parliament and represent that.
Just lastly, we've been talking about net zero in Canberra. There's some big discussions with the Nationals in New South Wales, including your party room. Have you got a stance on net zero at this point in time?
Yeah, definitely. Personally, I think we need to decrease our waste. We need to make sure that we're making decisions that impact our environment less. But I can't stand that we are, throwing so much money away. We are ruining our economy, especially in the regions, because the price of power, the price of electricity in our homes is just going up. It's escalating. And although I can't preempt the party room decision this week, I'm certainly asking for common sense.
OK, so in your view, it should be scrapped, though?
In my view, I'm asking for us to show common sense and to make sure that we are not continually seeing a rise in the price of electricity. We're preventing regional manufacturing. We're preventing, we're putting our sovereign capability at odds. And I'd say that, I'm not going to preempt the position, but I'd certainly be asking for some common sense.
Yeah, plus you've got the transmission lines being... going up in farmers' properties, razoring their properties. So, I mean, it really is the regions who will be suffering. Michael Kemp, great to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us in studio tonight. Really
Thanks for
appreciate it.